New lore reveals the true intention of the witness, not just to pursue the final shape, but to do it in a way that crushes hope, species, and planets in the palm of its hand. Today, we take a look at the mysteries of our collapse from the new Collector's Edition, an ancient species called the Noesis who was destroyed by the witness, and much more. In a previous video a couple of days ago, we summarized some events from the Collector's Edition lore book and how the precursor species had different ideals of the final shape, eventually merging into the witness. It goes much deeper than that, but that's the basis. One group won out and they all formed together, killing those who didn't believe in their cause. Today, we pick up from the formation of the witness and the terror it's unleashed upon civilizations and life. There is not much time. Now that we are in consensus, our progress is unhindered. The veil unravels before us. The fundamental principles we have long hoped for are woven in its threads, and when we have completed the process and thrown off our lesser selves, we will be perfect. The precursors became the witness. One group won out and came to consensus. It's implied the rest who opposed were killed or somehow fled, but the species decided to forget their past and their history in order to do one thing: focus on their new purpose, the final shape. They shed their past life, got rid of those thoughts they didn't need to think about. They had one true purpose, narrowed down on one goal. Emergency transmission, origin unknown. Annotated transcript follows. I learned of its arrival scarcely 3 marks ago. As my anchor slumbered in the belly of this ancient outpost, I drifted into the noosphere webbing and was swept up in delight. Millions of thought forms sharing the news, the revelation spreading from leading to trailing edge until even I was buoyed by the tide of joy. First contact with the stranger, friend-to-be, a chance for the hazy margins of our noosphere to grow, to encounter new thoughts and expand with new richness. It had been so long since we encountered the whisper, nightmare, predatory memeplex. We had grown naive without the reminder of fear. From the leading edge came a current. It swept through our noosphere, a spark in dry brush, ink in water, hope curdling in an instant. The emanations were confused and fragmentary. I could not parse them all. Planets stolen from space, ripe fruit picked from orbit, structures dissected and reassembled by 1,000-fingered hands. Anchors and selves unraveled into first principles, sectioned into wafer-thin slices. It was only one voice at first, a cry of joy at the meeting of a new mind, twisted to fear and pain. Help me. Chaos in the noosphere. The placid surface churned into white froth. Thought forms scattering in their thousands, fleeing up the webbing strands and finding doom at every junction. Help me. The stranger, ruin, predatory memeplex engulfed our noosphere in a moment's idle fancy. Our thought forms were atomic in comparison. We never stood a chance. As each of my people were found and taken apart and reassembled, a new voice joined the chorus. Help me. My people died in their thousands, thoughts and selves wisping away into nothingness, thousands of years of memory no more than smoke in the wind. Help me. Here, in this outpost, I am apart from the rest, tethered at the trailing edge, furthest from its lamprey maw, not far enough to escape, not near enough to help. Help me. 1,000 emanations from 1,000 minds blending into a single scream. The same scream every time, again and again, and again and again. When we untethered ourselves from their anchors, we knew that we as people would not be divided again. No matter how far we traveled in real space, the vastness of our noosphere, webbing, home was but a thought away. Our fears, our hopes, our dreams, our longings, our triumphs, we would always be able to reach out and know one another. Where one was weak, another could be strong. We could share each other's joy and bear each other's pain. But that That sound. Help me. I am ashamed to admit that I could not bear it a moment longer. I severed, exiled, imprisoned myself. I regretted it the moment I did. We were dying, but we were dying together. My unimaginable cowardice will not assure my survival, only a delay in my execution. The ruin, predatory memeplex, witness, knows the pattern of our oscillations. I can hear it, still plucking the tattered edges of the noosphere webbing. Why do you hide? The witness will find me, and when it does, there will be nothing, no one. I believed I would die alone in this abandoned outpost, but I found a crate, forgotten deep within a dusty storeroom. Emergency beacons, produced and stored in another time, one when we knew the fear of death. We see you. To you, receiver, inheritor, hoped for future, I offer what little I know. We are dead but not unmade. We are ossified, temporized, reiterated, perpetuated, anatomized, finalized. I do not know if this will help. I do not know. I do not. But perhaps you will prevail. Come now. Do not be afraid. This is not a call for help. It is too late. There is no one left. The witness cannot be stopped. This is our last proof. We, the Noesis, existed. So the narrator, a member of this Noesis species, speaks at the initial joy at the prospect of first contact with this new entity, viewed as a chance for growth and learning. However, this optimism quickly turns to horror as they encounter a destructive force, which is the witness. The witness attacks their noosphere, a shared consciousness of thought space, leading to widespread panic and devastation. That text describes how the Noesis, a society interconnected through a vast web of thoughts and consciousness, faces annihilation as individual members are found, disassembled, and reassembled by the invading force. So they all exist in this sort of collective mind, but the narrator decides to sever their connection and try and escape, but immediately regrets that decision, recognize it as an act of cowardice. They eventually find some type of beacon and are able to send out this message you heard me read, but their species was destroyed. Ido speaks how the witness did not destroy the Noesis, but unmade and then finalized them. The conquest of that species was swift, almost surgical, and remarkably thorough. The witness speaks to them in this gentle voice and then unmakes them and remakes them. Kind of like what Bungie describes is going to happen in the Pale Heart of the Traveler, the witness taking things, moving it around, calcifying it the way it wants. The witness does not need cruelty to win. It does not need to mutilate the great machine's creations, to inspire fear and despair. It does not even need to tempt you to use the darkness, which it has claimed to be, though we know from your experiences on Neptune that the witness does not hold as complete a dominion as it wishes us to believe. In fact, its cruelty has actively slowed and hindered its purpose. Had the witness simply overwhelmed humanity and crushed all resistance, there would have been nobody left for the great machine to uplift, no ghosts or guardians to defy it. I have spoken with Ikora Ray about the texts humans know as the Unveiling. I have tried to reconcile it with how I understand the light and what I know of the great machine. My understanding is imperfect, but I have gleaned this much. The Winnower speaks of convincing you that it is right, of existence as truth, of predation and defection. Nowhere does it speak of malice or hatred or despair. It does not care whether you embrace it or curse it. It simply desires to win and, in victory, be validated. But for the witness, victory alone is not enough. It must ruin all the great machine has touched, from the smallest creature to the greatest planet. Destroy everything the light has built. Drown, ruin all hope in bitterness. The witness would have us all curse the great machine, refute its gifts, and betray it as the Black Fleet tramples us underfoot. It would make us all Aramis, sick with despair and crushing our own dreams. You see it too, do you not? The record from Simics fell, the communications from Talik's Sin. These messages set down in hope, in optimism. Once, those who came before the witness saw the great machine as their hope for the future, as we did, as you do. They had hope once, they lost it, and now their successor, the great merging of their selves, the witness, seeks to deny that hope any right to exist. So the witness is so messed up it wants suffering of these species. Anything the traveler touch, it wants to destroy, crush those civilizations' hopes and dreams. During our collapse, they say the Black Fleet deployed gravitational weaponry, which is corroborated by other accounts of Sol's collapse, and also records of the Elixni whirlwind. But such weapons were not described by the Noesis when the witness attacked their species and homeworld. We also do not see evidence for humanity in the Elixni's collapses of what the Noesis described happening to them, anatomizing, temporizing, nor do we see any serious attempts from the witness to communicate. Ido says, more clues, more pieces of the puzzle. Fire and smoke, poisonous air, earthquakes, cyclones. Why do these things? Why did the witness cause great tidal waves on Titan if it could simply take the entire planet as it did later? Neither the Elixni nor humanity were as advanced as the Ecumene or countless other fallen civilizations. It could have overrun either of us without all the theatrics. The witness is not indifferent to us. It cares about what we think of its performance, though of course it does not seek to delight or provoke. No, the witness has done all it can to spread fear and despair among the people of Sol, as it did to the people of Rees. It has chosen the approach that would cause the maximum possible amount of suffering, and continued doing so until the very moment it went through that awful portal. I doubt that this is some brilliant tactical ploy to demoralize its enemies. It would have defeated both humans and Elixni, with or without its campaign of terror. Indeed, such actions appear to have drawn out its attack on Sol and were a deeply inefficient use of its power. If the witness's only goal was to corner the great machine and use it to further its plans, whatever those are, then why bother doing anything else? If this performance has affected the great machine at all, there is no evidence of such. And anyways, the worst atrocities of the whirlwind occurred after the great machine left us and could not see its effects. No, I believe this display of cruelty was meant for us. It was done to maximize our torment. I cannot think of any motivation to ascribe to this except malice. So this is very interesting. All this text gives us information on the witness and its goals. After the precursors became that one entity, it sought to destroy all these species, destroy life touched by the traveler, and in some specific cases like humanity, cause even more suffering than needed. Since Witch Queen we've known the witness is this big bad of the Destiny universe, at least for the Light and Darkness saga, but now with this lore we're actually getting some backstory as to why and just how terrifying it is. What Mara said last year or a couple of years ago finally is starting to make a little more sense. Anyway, Guardians, that's all we got for today's video. If you'd like to see some more Destiny lore and mysteries just like it, please be sure to subscribe to the channel. I thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next video.